that will safeguard public funds and ensure the government's confidential operations are effective, transparent, and accountable. Strengthening our financial systems will protect the public's hard-earned money and help build a more transparent and efficient government for the Filipino people.
Ito na nga, Jinky Luistro, pinabulaanan ang napaka-controversial na issue ngayon. Public funds nasa mabuting mga kamay, pero bago ang lahat, maaari kayong mag-subscribe para maging updated sa mga issue at bagong mga balita. Isinaad nga ni Jinky Luistro sa naging privilege speech nito sa Kongreso na walang dapat ipag-alala sa mga pondo ng publiko o pera ng mamamayang Pilipino. Ito'y marahil umano'y nasa mabuting pamamahala. Kaya't ayon kay Luistro, ang public trust ay kanilang iniingatan kung kaya't wala nang dapat na ikabahala pa ang lahat ng mamamayan. Ano ang inyong masasabi dito? Narito ang buong detalye.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand before you today to address matters of utmost importance that touches the integrity and accountability of our public financial system, the need to establish clear and stringent standards for the regulation of special disbursing officers, and the need for a law that clearly defines confidential funds, prescribing stricter requirements and guidelines in the utilization thereof. As we all know, the proper management of public funds is not just an issue of policy. Rather, it is an issue of national interest. Ang bawat piso po ay nanggagaling mula sa pinaghirapan at pinagpaguran ng mamamayang Pilipino. Bilang mga miyembro ng labing siyam na Kongreso ng Pilipinas, kinakailangan po nating masiguro na ang public funds, including confidential funds, ay ginagastos ng ayon sa batas. This statement, Mr. Chair, may be anchored with Article 11, Section 1 of the 1987 Constitution, which mandates that public office is a public trust. On the other hand, Mr. Speaker, confidential funds have historically served as an essential instrument for the government in addressing matters that necessitate discretion, secrecy, and security. Such funds are imperative to ensure that the government possesses the necessary resources to protect the nation, safeguard its citizens, and preserve public order in the circumstances that demand confidentiality. However, Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, while the importance of confidential funds is indisputable, we must also recognize the need to strike a delicate balance. One that maintains the integrity of our public financial system while safeguarding the people's trust in the government. These funds, by their very nature, are subject to strict scrutiny and concern. Our legal system enshrines the principle that procedural laws must align with substantive law, ensuring that rules are applied consistently with the fundamental objectives and values of our legal framework. However, there is currently no specific substantive law governing the creation, allocation, and use of confidential funds. Instead, Mr. Speaker, we rely on Joint Circular number 2015-01 issued by the Commission on Audit, which, while providing guidelines, is merely a procedural measure. It has become a common practice to allocate these funds, yet no substantive law clearly defines their scope or purpose. The only substantive law available is the constitutional mandate that all public funds are subject to public scrutiny. It is crucial to understand, as highlighted by legal experts, that procedural laws cannot function independently. They must be grounded on substantive law. Consequently, while COA's Joint Circular number 2015-01 serves as an operational guideline, it cannot replace a comprehensive law that clearly defines and governs confidential funds. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, I echo the words of retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, who aptly pointed out that we lack clear and comprehensive legislation that properly defines and regulates confidential funds. Thus, Mr. Speaker, it has become incumbent upon this representation that while we provide the government with the necessary resources for national security through these confidential funds, we need to have a law that clearly defines these funds that shall be the basis of the imposition of strict and transparent guidelines to prevent the misuse, abuse, or neglect of the same. During the committee hearing investigations, we have established that there are gaps with regard to what encompasses confidential funds. It was shown that those who wield the power to disburse or approve of the same tends to abuse, misuse, or neglect. It is essential that we implement a unified framework for the disbursement of public funds, covering both confidential and even regular funds. This framework should include clear disbursement procedures, qualifications of special disbursing officers, and penalties for violations. Whether intentional or due to negligence, Mr. Speaker, there must be sufficient fidelity bond for the SDOs that will ensure that they will perform their duties faithfully and to account for all funds and properties in their possession. The SDOs and their agency heads must be jointly accountable for any mismanagement of funds. To emphasize, Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, we must pass a law which, number one, defines confidential fund. Number two, provides disbursement procedure. Number three, provides auditing procedure. And number four, penalizes abuse, misuse, and neglect of the same. Equally important, Mr. Speaker, we must pass a law which, number one, upgrades the qualification of special disbursing officer. He or she must be a career official. And number two, mandates the posting of sufficient fidelity bond, which is enough to secure and to protect the total amount of public funds. Mr. Speaker, this power clearly rests with us, the Congress of the Philippines. It is incumbent upon this body to exercise its legislative authority to craft a law that will not only recognize confidential funds, but also set clear standards for their use, allocation, and even oversight. As lawmakers, it is our duty to ensure that these funds are utilized in a manner that is consistent with the public's interest and transparent to the extent possible without compromising the sensitivity of their intended purpose. In closing, Mr. Speaker, let us act urgently to implement the necessary legal chances that will safeguard public funds and ensure the government's confidential operations are effective, transparent, and accountable. Strengthening our financial systems will protect the public's hard-earned money and help build a more transparent and efficient government for the Filipino people. Mr. Speaker, this privileged speech is being delivered by this representation in anticipation of the bills on confidential fund and special disbursing officer, which will soon be filed by the Committee on Good Government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Congresswoman Luistro. And as a side note, this representation, Congresswoman Luistro would like to be a co-author of the bills and measures that will be filed by your committee. Thank you very much for the privileged speech. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Jervil Luistro to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Are there any objections? The Chair hears none. The privileged speech is hereby transmitted to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend the privilege.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This representation votes no to House Bill number 11072, or the expansion of the franchise coverage of the Davao Light and Power Company, DLPC. The expansion of the Aboitiz-owned Davao Light and Power Company franchise will only lead to further privatization of the electric commerce. Under the bill, existing lines under the Nordeco, an electric cooperative with donated capital from the government for the facilitation of its rural electrification program, will be captured by private corporations such as the DLPC, all in the name of profit. Mr. Speaker, gustong kunin ng DLPC ang existing franchises ng Nordeco kahit na hanggang 2028 pa ang franchise nito sa mainland at hanggang 2033 sa Island Garden City ng Samal. The proposed measure will not deliver the total sitio electrification target for the year 2028, where 80,259 households in 581 far-flung and financially unviable sitios of Davao are yet to be energized through the government sitio electrification program that is currently under the existing franchises of Nordeco. Lahat ng ito habang napakaraming pamilyang Pilipino mula sa kanayunan ang hindi pa rin naaabot ng supply ng kuryente at maaaring lalong hindi masuplayan ng kuryente dahil mababa ang return on investment ng pagkakabit ng linya ng kuryente sa mga lugar na ito para sa DLPC. Sa madaling sabi, hindi prioridad ang pagsusupply ng kuryente sa mga lugar na ito dahil hindi ito profitable para sa mga pribadong korporasyon. Mr. Speaker, I say this because throughout the 100 years of existence of DLPC, it has constantly failed to provide electricity to 18.2% far-flung and financially unviable areas in Davao. Ibig sabihin, 100 taon na nitong naiiwan at nakakaligtaan ng mga malalayo at mahihirap na komunidad na hindi naaabot ng kuryente. Isang napakahalagang serbisyo publiko. At ang nakababahala pa rito, habang nanganganib na lalong maantala ang supply ng kuryente sa mga komunidad na hindi naaabot ng naturang serbisyo, nariyan din ang banta ng pagtaas ng singil sa mga consumer, kung saan ang natitirang 33% sa 10 munisipalidad na nasa ilalim ng kanilang prangkisa ay papasanin ng pagbayad sa stranded cost na nakasaad sa power supply agreements. This only entails, as also determined through the simulation conducted by the Nordeco, that consumers will incur a 10.4409 peso increase kilowatt hour in the cost of power. And this is only on the electric generation alone. Mr. Speaker, sa kabuuan, tumututol tayo sa pagpapalawak ng prangkisa ng Aboitiz-owned Davao Light and Power Company dahil sinasagaan nito ang karapatan ng napakaraming pamilyang Pilipino, higit lalo yung mula sa mga mahihirap at naisasantabing komunidad na matamasa ang napakahalagang serbisyo sa ngalan dahil sa ngalan ng pagnenegosyo. This representation affirms that electric services are social services, and we should denounce any efforts that clearly favors and prioritizes its further privatization. Naway interes ng mamamayan ang ating unahin at hindi ng mayayamang iilan. Higit lalo sa usapin ng pagsusupply ng kuryente na napakahalaga sa araw-araw na pag-iral ng napakaraming komunidad ng napakaraming pamilyang Pilipino. Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, the Congresswoman of the Gabriela Parterist, for her explanation of her vote. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Franz Castro to explain her vote.
The Party List Act, the Honorable Franz Castro is hereby recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bumoboto ng no ang representasyong ito mula sa ACT Teachers Party List sa House Bill 11072. Narinig natin sa committee ang mariing oposisyon ng Northern Davao Electric Cooperative Incorporated o Nordeco. Kung aprobahan natin ang panukalang ito, bibigyang daan natin ang paglamon ng oligarko sa maliliit na players sa kapinsalaan ng mamamayan. Lalamunin ng Davao Light and Power Company o DLPC ang malaking bahagi ng franchise area ng Nordeco. May higit na 80,000 residential consumers sa Tagum, Island Garden City of Samal, New Corella, San Isidro, Talaingod at munisipyo ng Maco at ang mga households na narito ay mawawalan ng maasahang kuryente at government subsidy dahil sa bill na ito. Alam naman natin ang privatization na ang mapagkakatiwalaan lamang ito pagdating sa pagtaas ng electricity bill at hindi sa serbisyo. Sa pinakabuod ng House Bill 11072, aabandonahin ng pamahalaan ang mandato nito na Total Electrification Program by 2028. At para saan? Accommodation pabor sa malalaking oligarch na sa 100 taong existence nito, may malaking bahagi pa ng Davao ang hindi nito kinayang bigyan ng kuryente. Samantala, sa 53 years of existence ng much smaller player na kooperatibang Nordeco, tagumpay nitong binigyang kuryente ang 77.58% households ng kanyang franchise area. Malaking paglabag dito sa konstitusyon ang House Bill 11072. Particular, ang principle of mutuality of obligation of contracts, deprivation of property without due process, at limitadong kapangyarihan ng gobyerno sa eminent domain. Confiscation of property ang gagawin natin sa Nordeco dahil tatanggalan natin sila ng mga sinisilbihang franchise area at ibibigay sa DLPC ng walang due process at walang just compensation. Isa pa, Mr. Speaker, masamang president ito para sa lahat ng mga maliliit na electric cooperatives sa buong bansa. Bakit natin i-dissolve ang electric co-op na nagpapakitang ginagampanan ang kanyang trabaho at tumutulong sa gobyerno sa layuning total electrification. Bakit natin ibibigay sa higanting korporasyon na hindi mapapagkatiwala ang record? Dahil sa mga kadahilanang ito, Mr. Speaker, bumoboto ang kinatawang ito ng no sa House Bill 11072.
Thank you, Congresswoman Franz Castro, for your explanation of your vote. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, what is the pleasure of the Congresswoman B.H. Herrera?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on the point of personal and collective privilege.
Right? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, gusto ko lang pong magpasalamat sa buong pamunuan ng Department of Foreign Affairs or Philippine Embassy in Rome. Dahil nung ako po ay naaksidente sa streets of Rome on November 12, 2024, ay nung ako'y dinala ng ambulansya hanggang sa ospital, bawal po ang family member. At wala pong nakakaintindi sa akin kahit isa. Kaya agad-agad nag-text po ako kay Protocol Officer Donna Feliciano Gatmaitan and told her that I needed a translator. And immediately, pinuntahan po ako at may madre pong lumapit sa akin, si Sister Josephine Giganto. And I'd like to put on record my thanks kasi inalagaan po talaga nila ako hanggang sa makalabas po ako ng ospital. At nung lumabas po ako ng ospital, nandoon po si Conjen Randy Arquiza, kasama po si Deputy Chief of Mission Nina Kainglet, at si Rodelyn Ruales, at si Marleth Cruz Siman. Nagulat po talaga ako at I'm very proud to be a Filipino, Mr. Speaker, dahil yung sister po, si Sister Josephine who took care of me, very popular po siya doon sa buong ospital. Lahat ng doktor, niyayakap siya, nagpapasalamat sa kanya. At lahat ng tumulong po sa akin doon ay puro mga Pilipino doon po sa ospital ng Rome. Yun lamang po, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to also thank Secretary Enrique Manalo through Chief Coordinator Bernadette Fernandez, who all assisted me during those trying times. And I'd like to special thanks also to Ambassador Myla Kahilig ng ang ating Ambassador of the Vatican at kay Vice Consul Sandra Giang, who also made special arrangements para kami po ay makapagmano kay Pope. Yun lamang po, Mr. Speaker. Again, gusto ko pong magpasalamat sa pamunuan ng Department of Foreign Affairs led by Conjen Arquiza ng Rome, Italy. Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam B.H. Herrera, our Congresswoman from Party List BH.